Good morning, wake up and smell the coffee, especially if you are a coffee drinker like myself. I believe that will resonate mostly with you. Welcome to Trends in the Papers, your daily dive into the stories that are making the headlines today. My name is Sage Babalola. I'm glad you're here with us as we take a look at what is making the front pages. What are the front pages saying this morning? We're talking politics, we're talking state of the economy, we are analyzing social issues, and also basically stories that everyone would be talking about today, particularly with reference to the stories that make it to the front covers of our dailies. Welcome to the Morning Express, Mondays through to Fridays from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. A constellation of different programs that is all about dialogue, is all about conversation, is all about feedback, basically creating an environment where we can talk about the matters that affect us as people living within this great country, Nigeria. But before we begin this morning review, it is worth noting the very powerful moments of reflection and celebrations that we did experience over the past week, even over the weekend across the world. Communities did mark International Women's Day, celebrating the achievement, the resilience, the impact of women in every sphere of life, while also renewing the call for greater equality and opportunity, of course. And on Sunday, that was yesterday, right, many families across the globe also celebrated Mother's Day, dedicated to honoring women, whose love, whose sacrifice, their strength, it sort of continues to shape our homes, our communities, even our future. And now, who is a mother? It really is not about biological birth. It's about the women who treat us, who care for us, who make sacrifices for us. And it doesn't even have to be mother within the family context. It could even mean the workplace, that woman who always has your back, that woman who's willing to hold your hands through the challenges, those women who have done it before and are offering themselves up as mentor to younger people who are on the same path. We consider them mothers. So we can still say happy Mother's Day to these beautiful women. So also, we are going to be highlighting the amazing birthday celebrations we had here at Mainland FM. Of course, the birthday celebration of our own amiable boss, Fuad Said. We're very, very happy. He continues to grow in grace and in wisdom. It's not really just about growing in age. I believe that every single year there's a new dimension of our boss Fuad Said that you just see in terms of his expansion of knowledge when it comes to different issues, whether national or international. Also, even by the way the kind of environment we have in the workplace, you can always tell that this is a man who's very considerate of the people around him. And that's why, aside from the fact that there's a boss-employee relationship, we're also rather comfortable talking to him. He represents a father figure for all of us here. That's why we were very excited for his birthday. Also, the beautiful Lady Mo and our latest ambassador Agba Tomi, all three of them had their birthdays concurrently. I think that's the word. So we still want to say happy belated birthday to all of you. Well, let's just look at the papers. Let's scan the papers this morning. Let's keep an eye on how important occasions have sparked a discourse, and moving forward we'll be giving you updates on state of the economy, policy events, and how it affects our day to day. But I would be taking us back to stories that trended over the course of the weekend, so that we're not lost or there's no lacuna as we proceed with conversations this morning. The Guardian newspaper over the weekend had reported these headlines: PDP accuses APC of propaganda, poor governance in Lagos. Federal government alleges smear plot by mining firm during Tinubu's UK visit. Governor Yusuf scraps higher education ministry, strips the deputy of commissioner role. NEMA warns of fire, health concerns amid heat wave. Wike's loyalists emerge as Kano PDP exco. 4 dead, others injured in Lekki-Ekpe Expressway accident. APC dismisses ADC's criticism over Tinubu's democracy is a game remark. Lagos resumes a monthly sanitation exercise, urges residents compliance. APC's 31 of 36 state narrow options, multi-party context in 2027. Let's peg the Guardian there and just segue to the Punch newspaper. We have weekend report for the Punch. Trump, Starmer discuss reopening Hormuz Strait as Iran blockade disrupt shipping. Sultan of Sokoto visits Tinubu in Abuja. Army accuses IPOB allies of online campaign to discredit Southeast operations. 93% of Nigerians say country heading in wrong direction, says the ADC. Igbos should shun ethnic politics, Ohaneze chieftain 2015 says. Togo seeks more electricity import from Nigeria. And finally, for the Vanguard newspaper, the weekend stories goes thus. We want only APC. Hoodlums disrupt ADC Secretariat Commission in Bakassi. ADC suspend ward chairman. 2 others over Ireti Kingigbe's purported suspension. 2027 debate intensifies. Nigeria does not conduct real elections, says Farotimi. And finally, Tinubu directs nationwide distribution of rice for Ramadan length. That's just a summary of some stories you perhaps had missed over the weekend. We were not really here, and you probably didn't catch the stories. I hope that sort of like gives you an insight, because a lot of these stories spill into today's reports. Let's take a very quick break, as I would like to ensure that we do not have any disruptions when we begin conversations. We'll be back, and then we start to look at our dailies. My name is Sage Babalola. You're currently listening to Trends in the Papers here on Mainland 98.3 FM. Please stay with us. Imagine a country where our children have good schools, where hospitals are well equipped, and where every community enjoys clean water and good roads. That future is possible, but only if we use our votes wisely.
Sadly, some people are ready to exchange their votes for money, food, or empty promises, and some politicians are ready to buy them. But ask yourself, after the money is spent, after the food is gone, what remains? 5, maybe 10 years of suffering under bad leadership.
Is your child's education worth just a small gift? Is your community's progress worth only a bag of rice or a few naira? No, it is worth much more.
When you keep your vote, when you cast it freely and wisely, you protect your dignity, your rights, and your future. Leaders who buy votes cannot serve the people faithfully, but leaders chosen by honest votes are accountable to you, the people.
Let us stand together. Let us reject vote buying and selling. Let us prove that our future cannot be bought. Your vote is your power, your right, and your responsibility. Use it wisely. This message is brought to you by Mainland 98.3 FM.
When they win your vote, just to win your vote, just to win your vote. Politicians will tell you what you want to hear. Just to win your vote. Say that.
Knowledge is power, information is key, and that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Many thanks for standing by. Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. We now have Fuad who joins us via the phone as we begin to look at today's reports. Good morning, Fuad. I hope you had a splendid weekend.
Yeah, good morning, Sage. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How was your birthday? I know you're fasting and all, but at least after the break, did you do something, a get-together perhaps?
No, there was not. Just looked and stuff.
I'm so heartbroken because I know the visa that used to happen on your birthdays, right? But I know we are fasting and everything. But then, can we postpone it like after? I think there's less than 5-6 days till the end of fasting, right?
Our birthday is postponed. I think it's just supposed to be on that day.
Now, Savio, you must bring something into this office. We will not disturb you because we knew that you were fasting. But fasting ends in a few days now, so you bring something to the office. So
it will be too late now. Don't you think? After
like time is just a construct, okay? Time
really?
It's just a construct.
I hear you. No problem.
You share birthday with our Apex ambassador, Agwata.
Yeah, so. I think it's March 15.
Yeah.
Lady Mo is 12 or 13, right? I think 13.
I think 13, yeah. And then there's you, and there's Agwatomi, and then there's you, I believe. Well, all three of you, great people, are born in March, except that Tomi. Why is it not?
That's it. Yeah, I agree with you. You see the kind of birthdays we've had in March so far.
Which birthdays? I was born in October. I was born the year Nigeria.
Got independence.
In a month that, as of now, in a month that represents, freedom. So I was born in October, and that's a big deal. Anyway,
right.
so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you,
before we get into the report for this morning, I just would like to get your comments. I don't know if you are aware of that viral video of the Igbinedion Education Center. I don't know if you heard that particular story. I just want to highlight it. It's not really in the papers this morning because it was like a Friday weekend thing, but then I saw the video. I had initially read the report of bullying. Now, because of, again, it's very unfortunate that as Nigerians, our hearts have become so insulated from feeling the stings when we hear very disheartening stories. So I didn't really understand the emotion behind the story because I had seen bullying. Of course, we're all anti-bullying, but then I saw the video and it just disrupted something in me. These students beating up younger students. This is not just give me your hand and I'm flogging you. They were stomping on this boy. They were using sticks on this boy. They were kicking his chest and slamming him to the wall. It was a gory video too. And this boy had, in fact, he could not run away because he knows that if he runs, he's in trouble. So he had to sit there and take that beating. And the most painful part was the father of one of the bullies came to school because these students have been expelled by the Igbinedion Education Center. Came to pick the boy. There was no atom of remorse. He walked in, escorted his son, and you could see the smirk on their face, this smirk of I will be back, and so there was no remorse. No, in cases like that, you should bury your head in shame. And it almost gave me the vibe of this is the kind of man that even the father is. If you can assault somebody on camera and be proud of what you've done. I just want us to talk about bullying. Bullying before used to be somebody would take your lunch box, somebody would take your lunch money,
your food. Now
it is physical assault of this magnitude. For outside.
Well, again, many of the things we see today is a reflection of the larger society. They say charity begins at home, but the society itself is a construct of the smaller units of different families, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
We now operate in a situation where might is right. You have non-state actors, for example, bullying people. There was an incident that was reported last week, that was reported by the media last week, where a particular park house somewhere in Lagos Island, tortured a young man to death. See, they said they were begging him to release the boy. Maybe he accused the guy of stealing something. He tied his hands and tortured the boy, and the guy eventually died. So we have a situation where everything seems to be falling apart. I saw the video and I'm like, and these things happen. It's real. It's just that this one was caught on camera. Again, when God wants to expose people, there's a way you just misbehave and then put yourself out there. Because if you notice, it was one of the boys bullying the other boy that was recording the thing. You saw that at the end of the day. Yeah.
He was laughing. I did not understand what was so funny about that side.
Now you need to check again. If we are in a country where things are done properly, their parents will be answering questions, from the authorities, because they need to know in what environment were these kids raised. If you understand what I'm saying. I saw the video of when the dad came to pick him up, and I really cannot immediately blame the father. There are about 2-3 situations when it comes to training up a child. In Yoruba land, they say Abiko is the one that was giving birth to, and the parents did not train them. Akogbawa, people that have been trained, but they refuse to just heed to the training of their parents. And then the third one is the role of the school.
Yes.
Do you know that there are school owners, teachers who over pamper some kids because their parents are influential? Look, these things we see it. You see the way they care for these kids because maybe the parents come in, they are able to put some monies in their hand, or the person is rich or is contributing to the school. So no matter what the kids of these kinds of parents do, the schools look away. If you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Because so they allow the people like children like that to bully other children. So the schools too should be answering questions. How did that happen without the knowledge of the school? Until it got into the social media, and then the school now responded by expelling them. It should not just end by expelling them. The parents of these kids should be answering questions. They need to check who are the people raising these kinds of monsters. And then the school too has to answer some questions. how did that happen in the school compound without the knowledge of the school authority? It probably would have happened months back, okay, because I just seen it on social media.
Right.
It might not be something that just had happened recently. So if it did not get to the social media feed, what it means is that the school is not aware that things like that is happening within their four walls. So then the question should be raised. Where are the teachers? Where are the boarding house masters and what have you? Where, they need to answer questions. But again, this just goes to show that a lot is going on within the four walls of our schools. And that's why people have been told to talk to your children. In fact, when we saw the video, my wife just said, I keep telling you, my kids will never go to a boarding school. My kids will never be allowed to go to a boarding school. And sometimes you want to begin to accept the idea that boarding schools have become a problem. Because if it's a day school, you'll be seeing your child every day now. At least for parents who pay attention to their kids.
You see the injuries and everything.
Or maybe they come back home, they're looking somehow. You begin to ask questions. But in boarding schools, you are not there. You only come in maybe on the open day or when they are going back home. And the teachers and people you left your kids with, some of them are so patronizing of rich parents. So they look away from the behavior of their children.
I mean, nobody should have to go. I can only imagine the immense pain that boy will, because he has to wake up the next morning, wear his uniform, and go to school like nothing had happened. And that video, apparently, these boys were already told to go and kneel down somewhere. They walked into that place with those boys already on their knees. So they had told them, go and wait for us upstairs. We're coming,
they're coming to beat them.
And then you assaulted this boy. There's nothing they didn't use on these kids. It's so ridiculous, honestly.
I think the authorities should also be asking the school some very pertinent questions. In fact, the fact that the school was not aware of the incident until it got to social media means the school should also answer some questions.
Very, 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 very sad indeed. I really wish that boy recovered, because even if his physical injuries heal, the psychological trauma that these experiences leave on children is nothing to write home about. It can lead to bigger problems. You see them mental health issues. You see people starting to do drugs just to recover from experiences like this one. This is not the kind of
I pray, as a parent, I saw the way the father, walked into his car. The boy at some point, if you have seen the full video, was trying to apologize to other students who were bullying them as they were going. But again, as a parent, it's not the best of situation. You don't want to find yourself in that kind of situation. But what keeps coming to mind is our old parents, the parents of old. See,
immediately they come down from that car.
you
beg your
I'm not talking of these modern day parents. We have this thing of, you don't beat children again. You must not beat them. You will die. The people that raised some of us, they will not even come to school to pick you. You find your way home.
You will beg the teachers to not hand you over to your parents. Like, please don't my mother, please punish me.
Please, just whatever the school wants to do, just do. Kill me in the school. I can't go back home. The parents that raised some of us in that kind of situation, and then you walk majestically into the car with your dad. Which dad? You pray that you die in school. You don't go and die straight.
Well, Fuad, let's move on to other issues. We're looking at the Punch newspaper. US-Iran war, petrol price surge, SPAC relief calls. We have there's pressure on the federal government to introduce economic relief measures as the escalating conflict between the United States and Iran drives up global crude oil prices and pushes petrol costs to record levels across Nigeria. Industry operators, economists, labor union and private sector leaders have urged the government to deploy the expected windfall from higher oil prices to cushion the impact on citizens and businesses, warning that soaring fuel prices are already deepening economic hardship. So, Fuad, we have industry players who are giving recommendations as to how to navigate this very unfortunate price hike that we've seen. Some have said, well, first remove the taxes on petroleum products, the taxes, the charges that typically we have to pay, remove it. Also, fix the pipelines so that you're able to aid distribution. It's easy to move the products. Also, resume that equalization fund. I think about 2 years ago, the equalization fund was being paid to truck drivers so that there's some level of uniformity in the price of the commodity in different regions. So you're not buying 2,000 in the north and you're buying 700 in the south. Yes, there's always that disparity, but the margin was low when we were paying this equalization fund to the transporters, but then this administration had revoked it. Industry players are saying, at a time like this, maybe you should bring that arrangement back so there's some level of uniformity in the payment for this particular product. Also, deployment of CNG kits, invest in alternative energy as a long-term plan, amongst other things. Now, for our side, some countries in Asia, what some of they've done is work Monday to Thursday. Don't come to work on Friday to Sunday, so you're able to minimize your transportation cost. Some countries have opened their reserves, especially countries under the IAE, amongst other things. So many initiatives that certain countries, Asian countries for example, have put in place. However, Nigeria's only strategy as at right now is the CNG kit distribution, the 100,000 CNG conversion kits for a country that has over 14 million vehicles on the road. What do you think about these recommendations by the industry players? Remove taxes, remove the charges, fix the pipelines to aid distribution, resume the equalization fund with the money that you get from this windfall, and then you can start talking about the deployment of CNG kits.
Well, Sid, as it stands, no one is sure when this Middle East crisis will end. Even if the bombing stops, what about the aftershock?
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying. So for normalcy to return, it might take a while. We're not even sure when the war would end. It appears that the man that started the war does not have an idea of how to end it. If you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. If for people who follow reports, who follow comments coming out of Washington, comments coming out of Israel, and even the positioning of Iran on this matter, you understand that, look, this might just be a crisis that will take us deeper into the middle of the year before anything begins to normalize. So, and we've seen the impact, Sage. The impact has been immediate, almost immediate. Petroleum prices all over the world have gone up. All over the world, because, again, the Middle East accounts for, a larger chunk of the crude oil that the world uses for energy consumption. The Strait of Hormuz, for example, is said to account for about 20% of crude oil supply globally. So that effect has been felt. Whatever has happened has had this adverse effect on countries of the world. So now the question is, what should the Nigerian government be doing? It was a major talking point for us yesterday on Political Roundtable Stage. Because again, we now have to dig into what other countries are doing. You read some of them, Sage. Because the reality is this, Sage. And I think we don't need to say this again to the government. I'm sure at the level of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he knows this too well. He knows this very, very well. That, look, you cannot be talking about national security without talking about energy security. Because, look, energy security itself is it's an integral part of national security, Sage. Because that's why you see, if there's one thing the United States of America does not joke with, is their energy security. They don't joke with it. Why do you think the US is running after oil all over the world?
For its reserves.
Sorry?
For its reserves.
For they have to keep building their reserves. They don't want anybody to shock them. So you see that, look, for anywhere they go to, when they talk about, look, when America says this is America's strategic interest, please, when you open up whatever they talk about, there's oil, energy security at the bottom of what they are saying. Because there's a story to it. In the 70s, there was a time that Saudi Arabia, for example, had oil from going into the United States and other Western allies. And they suffered. And so the idea was that, you know what, we will not allow this to happen. Our energy security will never be in the hands of anybody. We will ensure that there's enough in case of emergency. So because they understand that, look, you cannot have a secure nation, no matter what you do with your military strength and might. Once there's no energy security, there's no national security. And so what do responsible governments in the world do? Number one, they always have a strategic reserve. Mr. Peter Obi, I think sometime last week, I talked about the fact that, look, we need to begin to ask ourselves questions in Nigeria. Do we even have any strategic reserve to take care of periods like this? One idle special advisor responded without thinking it through. It is not because Peter Obi is saying it. He has raised the pertinent issues, and I don't know why special advisors or spokesperson to the president just wants to jump at everything and anything Peter Obi says. What Mr. Peter Obi has said is what every right-thinking, responsible, patriotic Nigerian would say. If we don't have it, what then should we start to do immediately? And on this rising price of petroleum products, we are supposed to approach it methodically. What are the short-term solutions? What are the mid-term solutions and long-term solutions? We can't immediately build strategic reserve we don't have. Because if we have reserve, we are going to be talking about. I don't think we even have any reserves anyway.
I don't believe so. Forward sales will not let us have reserve.
So the question is, what then do? We cannot look. What if this thing balloons beyond this level? We are currently buying at 1,230 naira in the urban centers or urban areas. In the far-flung parts of Nigeria now, say they are already buying at 1,500.
Yes.
In these rural communities, that's where you have the farmers. Diesel in the urban center is selling at about 1,600. Say in those areas, it is selling for about 1,008, 1,009, 2,000 in some places. These are the areas where we produce food. What about logistics? How to move these things around?
Yes.
So this is an emergency. It is not something that we're going to toy with. Now the federal government through the Minister of Finance has said, oh, we're not going to go into price control of petroleum products. So what then are they going to do? They've announced what I call a completely nonsensical idea of sharing CNG kits, 100,000 CNG kits. To who and who? What is that going to do? How will that help? They've been on this CNG matter now for 3 years. What exactly have they achieved? And that is going to be a solution to this kind of emergency stage. I say again, that idea is completely nonsensical. That is what we're going to be talking about at this critical time. So that people don't say, oh, you just want to. We went ahead thinking of what countries are doing. The US, for example, have gone into a strategic reserve. About 170-something million barrels of crude oil will be released.
Yeah.
Member countries, about 32 of them, who are members of the IEA, the Energy Agency, National Energy Agency, have also decided that 400 million barrels of crude oil will be released from their strategic reserve. There are countries who have increased subsidy.
Yes.
Say, Malaysia, sorry?
I said temporary price cap, subsidy and everything.
There are countries all over the world. If you go to most of the Asian countries, Malaysia, Singapore, and all of these other countries have started to introduce some form of subsidy.
Yeah.
Some of them have even done what they call a price cap. Say, once you go into a price cap, what are you doing? We take care of the rest, the magic, Abi?
Yes.
At least so to make things better. Look, whoever told the Nigerian government that subsidy, or maybe they told themselves, it is something they must not do. Look, it's something unfair to Nigerians. All responsible governments in the world find a way to subsidize things for their people. Say it is the job of the government. I say it again, there is no national security without energy security. Energy security does not mean that you even make it available alone. Say it. Because if they talk about energy security in Nigeria, oh, they say people are not queuing for fuel again. Fuel is not available. No. There's one thing for you to make it available. It also has to be affordable. Say it. So when you talk about energy security, you are talking about availability, accessibility, and affordability. They should read up on it. That is what all responsible governments in the world do to help their people, the most vulnerable in the society. I'm sorry, you, but he can't understand what I'm calling. And this is not a common sense issue. What else are we going to say? Now you are talking about CNG kits. They say they want to share rice now because of the salad that comes. Want to share rice
into that story. The Tinubu orders nationwide rice distribution for Ramadan and Lent. Renewed Hope Ambassadors, they're like a political support group. They tell us, the report tells us that by instruction of the president, rice is to be distributed to Nigerians experiencing Ramadan. Is this a matter of rice and beans? We should chop rice. Well, chop rice.
So when you finish shopping rice, go and buy fuel of 1,230 naira. You enter transport that's doubled almost. Is this a matter of sharing rice? We are talking about rise in petroleum prices. You have seen what responsible governments in the world are doing all over the world to help the poor and vulnerable in the society. We want to share rice. Sage. I don't understand. This has been a consistent pattern. Now there are people that want to chop money from that rice distribution. They will brand it and bag it. The printers are waiting. The boys that will distribute are waiting. And who are they going to give this rice to? Because the only way to make it to be fair to Nigerians is if they give every single Nigerian one bag of rice. Who are they going to? They will give it to party members. Does that solve any problem? This idea of tokenism, Sage, make the people poor, make them so vulnerable, weaponize poverty. So Nigerians want to celebrate Salah now. They are so poor to the point where they have to wait for the government to give them rice. Sage. You saw impoverished Nigerians to the point where Salah is coming. Easter is coming. The Easter celebration is coming. But they can't even buy rice by themselves. They have to wait for the government to give them rice. And is that what government is all about? Governance is all about? Tokenism? Weaponization of poverty? So after they give the rice, what then happens? Look at the show of shame that happened in Imo State. See, I weep for my people. People beating themselves, pumping themselves, almost going to kill themselves because of a deep freezer. See, the things that the ordinarily, if the economy was working, if the country was thriving, things that the ordinarily would have been able to buy for themselves, they have to go and queue up, beat themselves up, almost going to die because they want to collect token from people who are stealing from them. People who are stealing their resources will now come back and begin to dash them things that ordinarily if the society was working, they would have been able to buy by themselves. Is that governance? Really?
Oh, that is the reality on ground at this time. Well, I did see a few videos from the rice distribution that happened, not of this particular one, but the rice distribution that happened. And, people were saying that, well, this administration is talk and do. They're very happy.
But because they're giving them rice and noodles.
The administration will be successful amongst other things. As expected, the comments on social media was not very favorable to this administration. In fact, people were talking to the beneficiaries of this rice that how many months are you going to eat this rice for? How would you be able to use this rice to pay your children's school fees, to buy fuel? Why are you excited about a small bag of rice, some noodles and some oil? Well, what is the excitement about that? If anything, we're supposed to jettison collective all these palliatives to send a message that we cannot be bought over. But for what side, how easy is it to preach to certain people to jettison palliatives like this one and vote their conscience with the...
I don't know what else you are going to say, Sage. I think we said it in Yoruba, in Pidgin, in English, we said it. Can you just shame these politicians by rejecting these things once and for all?
Will poverty let them do that?
I said, look. I don't know what else. So they should continue to collect it. You collect one bag of rice now or deep freezer, and then your child falls sick. There's no hospital that can take care of your child. Eh? There are no good schools. The roads are bad. No power, electricity. People are almost going to die now because of the heat wave.
Oh yeah.
And then you go ahead and collect one bag of rice. Look, there was a picture that some of these people were sharing, and that one woman collected deep freezer. Made the long her freezer to your lung. You're going to celebrate that? The monies, these monies are your monies. It is just the crumb that is falling from the master's table. They are overfed. The little is what they are using to buy you over. What else can we tell Nigerians about these things? You know, ⴛᴏᴜ. Can we get serious as a nation for once? And that's why we say that, look, our people also have a role to play. They also have to a share of the blame. Rice, noodles, they were even sharing wheelchair. See?
Yeah. Well, trends in the papers, Mainland 98.3 FM. We're still live on Facebook and on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. You can listen via our website, www.mainlandfm.com. We're looking at the papers, the Punch newspaper, and we recently just spoke about the palliative measure of this government. Distribution of CNG kit on one side, distribution of rice on another side, distribution of deep freezers, among other things, and the behavior of the electorate. Is there any indication that we've learned from the lessons of the past? Let's move forward. UK visit. Federal government alleges plot to embarrass Tinubu. The report in the Punch is telling us that the federal government says it uncovered an attempt by an embattled mining company, Jupiter Limited, to launch what it described as a campaign of calumny against Nigeria during the planned state visit of President Tinubu to the United Kingdom following a dispute over revoked mineral licenses. The Ministry of Solid Mineral Development said the alleged move was aimed at discrediting the federal government's reform in the mining sector and misleading the international community about the circumstances surrounding the revocation of certain mineral licenses. So apparently this Jupiter Limited had said that their licenses were withdrawn, and in fact arms were used, right? Or, well, let's just put it like this: their licenses were forcefully revoked. Now, the federal government has clarified things that, first of all, the revocation came as a result of their inability to meet certain financial obligations. Also, this particular firm was using proxies to attain multiple licenses, and they were not mining. They were just using it to acquire minerals, right? And so Jupiter Limited is also now accusing the government that their license was revoked because they wanted to give that license to a Chinese firm. That is the situation, but as I said, the federal government is debunking it, that that's not the truth. The revocation is because you did not meet financial obligations. You have held several mining licenses by proxy, and you're not even mining. You're just using this for acquisition of our mineral resources here in Nigeria. And in fact, as a foreign the company that is into mining, you're not even allowed to own mining licenses. There are limitations to how much authority you have, even if you have these licenses.
Now, see, now that the federal government is telling us this, now what are we supposed to do with the story, this revelation? The president going to the UK, a particular mining company is planning to embarrass the country, by putting out fake statements, fake whatever. Okay, how does that even concern you and I now?
Just so you know that they are doing their job.
Which job? Who is doing which job? That there was this license, and license was revoked, that they don't know the company. They should deal with that one. I'm not bothered with that kind of irrelevant story. For me, the story is completely irrelevant. How does that concern you and I now? That the authorities are having a problem with a mining company, and so the problem might probably go out there pushing narratives against the country when the president visits the UK. Even the visit of the president to the UK, what that we are going to a country of our former colonial masters, and they are going to receive us. After that,
maybe narrative. They just want to control the narrative control. That we're not.
How do they control the narrative by telling us? Okay, so Nigerians should do what now? We should go on social media and go and start to fight that company. Or what? Okay, what exactly are they expecting Nigerians to do?
They just want you to know for outside.
So after we know, what then do we do?
Well, Fouadzai, let's look at this story. This one is more close to us. We have displaced 3.726 million Nigerians now in 3,900 camps over insecurity. Wartime relics dot state capital in peacetime. How government others are responding. We have Nigerians are paying a heavy price for years of protracted insecurity, with over 3,725 internally displaced. 3 million actually. 3,725,593 internally displaced persons are now scattered across 3,900 camps and settlements nationwide. Data compiled from the International Organization for Migration Displacement Tracking Matrix, the National Bureau of Statistics, and humanitarian agencies and government officials show that the figure is only an estimate, as displacement patterns change frequently. Fuad, insurgency has turned people into homeless people who are living in IDP camps. Imagine 3 million of our population, and estimates, might I add, are now living in about 3,900
That's what they can track.
Scattered across the country. Why are we living like refugees in our own country, Fuad?
The answer is very simple. Say it. You can't have this level of insecurity. People are being sacked from their homes. Communities are being attacked. There's multi-dimensional poverty. people we are going to have this kind of situation. We are not in a it's not a complete war situation for us. We are not in a war situation. This is not Gaza. This is not Iran. This is Nigeria. And yet we have over 3 million of our people scattered in different IDP camps. I know we've talked about the situation of the IDP camps, the terrible things that happen in the IDP camps.
Yes.
The fact that, look, some of the NGOs are also just using them to make personal monies. A lot of the state governments have even abandoned the IDP camps. So they are just there on their own. The diseases, the women are subjected to sexual harassment, forced labor, terrible things happening. And these are Nigerians who have become refugees in their own country. What more can we say?
It's very, very unfortunate. Camps normally are just supposed to be temporary. Should I call it a stopgap so that resettlement plans go on? Ideally, that's what IDP camps are. It's just be here whilst we're fixing your hometown or where
challenges here,
and then we take you back home once we fix it.
But this become a permanent thing.
It's looking more.
The numbers keep increasing.
It's overcrowded. And remember, Fuad, the experts have warned us that IDP camps have become a hunting ground, a recruitment ground.
Yeah, a breeding ground for criminals, for terrorists.
It's easy to recruit somebody that is going through a difficult time like that. When you throw money in their face, all you need to do is wear a uniform, hold guns, help us with abduction, and we'll give
you have a better access to money, better access to women. You probably get a better life
you have power.
than just being power and others than being just in that camp, displaced, left, abandoned, without any future. So they look at the other side and they decide to join. So it's just the fact. Most of these IDP camps have also become, breeding grounds for the criminals and terrorists. It still goes back to what we are saying. You can't have this level of poverty that has come from the so-called reforms of the government and expect to have national security. It's not going to happen. Poverty and security work side by side. They are friends.
I always say this thing: vulnerability equals malleability. It's like a quote that is stuck in my head. Once you're vulnerable, you
become malleable.
You will bend to the tune of anything that will give you relief, however temporary that relief might be. Anything to just give you a little bit of comfort, you will bend when you're vulnerable. And it's so unfortunate that these over 3 million people are vulnerable and can become weapons against the state if the situation is not.
And you now understand why I've been talking about energy security and why nations of the world, responsible governments in the world, ensure that they subsidize, they intervene to make things affordable for their people, to make life better for their people. Because they understand that, look, again, there's no country in the world that allows for energy security the way we have done it in Nigeria, where you just leave it in the hands of the private sector, without the government looking at how to manage it. Call it whatever name you want to call it. Call it subsidy, call it intervention, call it price control. Energy security is not something you just do. Just throw everything away, the market forces should not determine it. Without the government finding a way to intervene, to mitigate the effect. And look, once you do that, you are talking about people in the IDP camp. Do you know that many people are in their homes? They become IDPs in their own homes too. They are the only thing is that they have not gone to camp. In their different homes, they become what? Displaced. When we all return back into our homes, we can do a little research. Go back in the midnight into the streets and see the number of people sleeping on the streets. Go back just at night. These guys, anybody listening to me, you go back to your home because you have a home. Just try and go back into the street at night. Some of us do it because of the job we do. Tents, shops, in front of streets. People are displaced beyond the IDP camps in Nigeria. And what does that mean? Look, that's why today you go into your neighborhood. Look, to get into my house, they have about 6 gates that I have to pass through to get into my house. Gate 1, gate 2, gate 3, everybody has gate. You have a gate in your house before a gate comes in. You have a barbed wire, electricity fencing. Still, people still jump your fence. People are cutting people's nets. Desperation everywhere.
Well, as we begin to round off this conversation, let me just read a few other headlines here. We have suspected APC youth disrupt ADC event in Bakassi. Would you like to comment on that? Electoral violence is expected.
it has started, because again we've been seeing these reports. Again, this is an allegation that these youths who had gone, to disrupt the ADC event in Cross River State, Bakassi particularly, are APC youths. But with politics, you have to be careful until you are sure nothing is clear, Yeah. But we just want to beg our politicians. We can take everything from them. They should not set this country on fire. Because this is not the first time the ADC is talking about attacks, political attacks, when they hold rallies or do their meetings. Yeah. We saw what happened in Edo, for example, too. The shooting in Edo.
It's very unfortunate. That's why I say we as a people, we don't know what we're doing. The fact that these people are deploying you to go and wreak havoc. Their kids are outside the country, educated, getting their master's degree, and you're here wielding.
They come back home, they find a way to even slip them through into the system, to become chairmen, to become House of Rep members, to become ministers.
I'm sorry.
They will never choose any of you. Who is helping them to carry gun?
Okay.
Their kids will be protected abroad, get the best of education. They bring them back home. They find a way to also slip them through the system, to give them juicy job offers, take political position. Some of them have already put their child. Now, one of them has become a chairman in the local government. One of them is taking his child around now. He's going to present, he's going to run for House of Reps. Before you know, he begins to position him to become the governor of the state. Whereas you that you are taking gun shooting people, telling them to go and vote in their state, you remain a tout for life. That's the best they can give to you.
Well, anyways, UK MP urged Sturma to question Tinubu on Christian killing. As a conversation that will happen, higher FAC earnings offer Nigeria leverage to rebuild fiscal buffers. We've always had leverages many times. Even this windfall is leverage that we could have explored.
How are we using the leverage? To what benefit?
Please. Wike-backed PDP faction installs PDP ESCOs in Bayelsa, Ekiti, Oyo. I don't know this attempt at reconciliation, Fatai. I don't know the kind of reconciliation that PDP wants to do.
They don't have to reconcile now. Is it compulsory that the PDP has to reconcile? When they were together, what was the benefit to Nigeria in the first place?
Chai.
So when the PDP was intact as a party, of what benefit was the party to Nigeria? So if they are fighting, if they reconcile, how does that affect anything?
Well,
I tell you difference among the political parties anyway. It's not same of the same.
It's the same people actually. They're just jumping from.
And they should continue to fight.
2027 Nigeria risk Abacha era crisis over electoral manipulation. That's Pat Utomi making that statement. And Fuad, the Guardian is reporting that there will be the reintroduction of the monthly sanitation. However, because of the 2016 judgment that says that you should not restrict people's movement, you are allowed to move. I believe April 25th thereabouts is when it would start, but you're allowed to move around.
So what about enforcement? But the commissioner talked about enforcement. If they are saying that, he has said they are going to bring back environmental sanitation to Lagos, but there's a judgment that says you can't restrict the movement of people. So how are they going to enforce the sanitation if they don't restrict movement?
I have no idea the stance they're going to
take. And then what I want to ask the commissioner, is widely traveled. Has he gone to any very neat city in the world that they put a day aside for people to clean their neighborhoods? It should point out any country in the world, any city in the world, a functional mega city in the world that is so neat that they have to put up a day for them to do environmental sanitation. Up till now, we don't know what has happened to PSP. Waste collection and management in Lagos, nobody has been able to explain to us why they have not been able to do it successfully again. Waste abandoned in the streets everywhere in Lagos. The commissioner has not told us anything why waste management and collection has become a problem in Lagos. And I keep saying it, you can't have a neat city when there's no water. We need water for people to keep their neighborhood safe in Lagos.
Before we have to go, we're pressed for time. Thank you for your analysis. We'll be back for Mainland Focus.